Hello and welcome to round 32 of Fragmaster's Fox Friday in Live for Speed. Tonight coming from Kyoto Ring GP Long with the Boothy chicane, in our opinion, the better way to drive around Kyoto 3. I'm Peter Butcher, and joining me in the commentary box tonight, it's Michael Málek, who will be with us in just a moment's time. But we're going to go straight into qualifying because today we are going to broadcast one-shot qualifying. We'll bring everybody up to speed with the standings and everything afterwards. But if you're unfamiliar, here is Kyoto Grand Prix Long, the 7.4 kilometre, 4.6 mile track in Live for Speed S2. We are going to have one-shot qualifying. That means every driver gets one out lap and one hot lap to set their best time. And then the top 40 times will be allowed to start the 1 hour race, which is going to kick off at around about 7:30 UTC with the formidable Formula XR in Live for Speed, a 2-litre inline for mid-engine rear-wheel drive car generating 190 brake horsepower and weighing in at just under half a ton. So it is absolutely rapid, with that tiny little 2-litre engine, it is going to be setting some pretty nice times around KY3B. Here is the broadcast schedule. We are halfway through our broadcasted schedule, but of course there are a lot of other Fox rounds happening this year, every single Friday up until the end of the year. We're broadcasting one a month, and we're very glad to have you with us. So without any further ado, let's go and get a taste of what's to come in the race by having a look at qualifying. So I believe we have a few drivers who are just about to set some laps on the track. And we're going to get a look at those right now. Let's see who we've got for our first few out laps. Michael, I think you're with us now, so maybe you can tell us more about what's going on in the session.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you can hear me clearly. I'm asking some small technical difficulties, but as you can see, we are for the first time in the FM Fox Friday qualifying session, and we can see Finn Kane starting his flying lap in just about 30 seconds from now. He's still hitting his tires. He's about to get to the final chicane and start what will be the first lap of today.
Yeah, so here is Finn UK coming around start finish, and he will be the first driver to start flying lap, we think. And he's on his way. This is the first time we're broadcasting one shot quali for Fragmaster's Fox Friday, so it's a bit of an experiment, but we will see what's going on. In fact, it looks like Roger Chen has managed to get out for a lap before Finn UK, so let's watch him for a bit as he comes up to turn number 9. The incredibly quick right-hander. You're at full chat here. Full commitment needed on the qualifying lap, of course. So let's see how he does. Yeah, no issues at all for Roger Chen. Very, very experienced Fox driver, of course. We're going to see a lap from absolutely everybody on the grid, Michael. We're going to see everybody set at least one timed lap. If anyone gets impeded, of course, they get the option to set another one towards the end of the session. But hopefully, Fraz will let everyone out of the pits with enough room to complete an out lap and a flying lap without getting in the way of each other. So here comes Roger. He's coming up to the Boothy chicane, which is an added chicane in the layout that slows the car down before the tight corners that we normally see people doing flat out. There you go. So you can just see a couple of tyre bales there stopping the cars from being tempted to cut the corner. It's a nicer way to take this track, Michael.
Yeah, absolutely. He seems to be doing very well, and let's see what his time at the end of this lap will be. He barely touched the post in the final chicane, but I guess it's all within the limits. The last corner is behind us, and let's see what will be the first time set tonight. He crosses the line now, and it is 2 minutes 20 seconds and 17 hundredths, which is a provisional pole position.
Finn UK will be the next time. So Roger Chen has thrown down the gauntlet. The number 23 sets a 2 minute 20. Finn UK is just coming up into the final couple of corners. We've got a hairpin followed by that quick chicane that Michael mentioned. It's an uphill chicane in this configuration. We've been so used to drivers taking it in the other direction in recent races, but today we are treated to the original, the planned direction, I guess, of Kyoto. A little bit of a twitch coming out of the final chicane for Finn, so potentially lost quite a bit of time there. Let's see how good the rest of his lap was. Can he get anywhere near to Roger Chen's opening gambit? 2.5 seconds off the lap time of Roger. Al Payson will be next to cross the start-finish line. He's just coming around the final corner to end his lap. Let's see how he managed. Will be interesting to see if he can split Roger and Finn, and that he does by 0.4 seconds ahead of Finn. Next up into the final sector, it's Johnny SVK backwards, currently driving forwards, as we like to see. And final game for him. Difficult to really judge how the rest of the lap has gone. But yeah, so far so good by the looks of it. Let's see where he goes on the board. Johnny SVK running a livery similar in many ways to Fragmaster's old livery and the Air Attack livery, but he goes fourth, 23.38. Another Fragmaster driver coming up next, and he has more of the lap to complete, Michael. He's got the chicane, the Boothy chicane, and some of the oval left.
Yeah, my checkmate Onifus is just about to finish the second sector of this lap, now into the wake left-right chicane. He does really well. And now into the last slow turn of this awesome circuit. Let's see how it goes for him. Goes really smoothly now into the braking zone of that slow chicane. Brakes well. Turns in nicely. Let's see if he hits the poles. He barely avoids them. Goes legally into the last section of the track. Slightly over the white line, but it is legal. And let's see where he slots in between the first 4 times we have set so now. And it is provisional position of 2 minutes 19.84 seconds.
Yeah, quite a margin. It's going to be closely followed by Pantheo. Pantheo running that yellow and black Fragmaster's livery with blue wheels. Bear that in mind for the race. P6 only, 0.5 second behind Johnny SVK. Next we've got Friends United Rocket. Oh, go on. And yeah, Friends United Rocket coming through the Boothy chicane and up towards the final part of the circuit. Interesting livery that he's chosen here. Not quite normal, but there we are. He is currently looking at a wall of Fragmaster's times and wondering where on earth am I going to fit into these. By the looks of it, he's going to finish somewhere in the Finn UK region. I know that's a pretty conservative estimate, being the middle, but let's have a look. Let's see where Rocket manages to finish. After this, we have Rex. Yeah, Rocket slots just ahead of Finn UK with exactly the same time as Al Payson. But because Al Payson said it first, Rocket has to start behind. Here comes Rex for good drivers driving the Ferrari livery there. Ferrari livery on a Formula XR. This car obviously loosely inspired by the Formula Renault 2.0, where it gets its looks from. As we come across start-finish, and Rex goes P2, a very nice lap, 0.04 of a second faster than Roger Chen, but not quite enough to get past Onifus. Here now comes Master Race Cars Zesty, who's looking to secure another spot on the grid for Fragmaster's Fox Friday. Should be no issue for him, of course. He is a single-seater specialist, and the Fox is very high up on his list of preferred cars in LFS, it has to be said. A regular appearance here in Fox Friday. Comes across start-finish to go P2 again, so P2 is a popular place to finish. Onifus with a very, very nice lap. Zesty 0.1 of a second behind. Tallenberg has had an incident. We just missed it on the broadcast, but had an incident in around about the Boothy section, and that has slowed him down somewhat. So this is going to be a bit of a sweaty end to the lap for him, because he knows how many cars are left to drive in this session, and you can't make any mistakes in one-shot quali, or else you do risk the possibility of missing out on a spot in the race. So let's see what Tallenberg can manage as he comes across start-finish. It's going to be last place, and that is a huge deficit, 6 seconds almost to our pole sitter. So not what the Master Race car driver wanted at all. We've got quite a wait now for Adal, who's just coming through Spoon Corner, driving for PSR. And yeah, we get a chance to admire what looks like a bit of a Valvoline inspired livery, the classic white, blue, and red stripes. But anyway, it's coming up to the Boothy chicane. So let's see if there are any issues here. There were issues for Tallenberg that we didn't quite see. A lot of the drivers here should be pretty familiar with Boothy. It's a combination that's almost always used at Kyoto. In this direction especially, it just stops drivers from cutting through that fast chicane and risking their suspension and their race, really, because it's very easy to send the car off the track into a wall if you get it ever so slightly wrong. So the Boothy chicane just slows cars down a little bit more. Adal wide of the final hairpin. Nice chicane though, but let's see how the rest of his lap went. Where is he going to slot in? Currently 10 cars have finished, make it 11, and Adal slots into P7 just behind Rocket. We turn our focus to road appraiser Doctor. Now, Doctor is someone who is absolutely a veteran of Fox Friday, so we should expect to see him well up the order in qualifying. And, well, where will he want to slot in? Well, he's going to be the first of several road appraiser drivers. There are currently 3 of them out on track. So let's see where Doctor manages to find himself in the qualifying order. Runs very wide out of the final corner. He will not enjoy that, and he's going to have to do rallycross to get to the line. It's a very, very slow end to the lap for Doctor, but still good enough for P11. His teammate is going to surely hope that he can do better than that. A bit unlucky for Doctor to end the race that way. I do wonder where he would have finished if he'd have not taken the grass on the final corner. Impressive to still be within the times on the board, but Lucas then didn't have the smoothest end to the lap, has to be said. Wide at the entry to the final chicane. Lucas comes across the line, and it's only good enough for 5th, so 2 seconds off the pole time. Here comes the third of 3 road appraiser drivers, and it is none other than Fox Friday champion 3 times over, TJ. He has absolutely no excuses for not being in the top section of the lap. He has excuses to not be on pole, of course. There are some very strong drivers out there, but let's see where TJ ends up. It should be a good lap. He hugs the wall very, very tightly, and he takes pole by 0.2 of a second. Very, very nice lap. Here is Yasin for Air Attack. Not Yasin Bidal, but a different Yasin. So bear that in mind. Air Attack's Yasin exiting the Boothy chicane. Very, very nice. Very, very clean. And what a lap that was from TJ. 2:19.61. It would have been nice to watch the entire lap, but as you can see, the drivers are coming thick and fast towards the end of their flying lap. And the reason for that is that there are just so many drivers trying to qualify for Fox Friday every single week. And, well, we have to pack 40 plus cars into a half-an-hour qualifying session. And that is a tough deal when you've got a lap of over 2 minutes, as you can see on the board. So there are several cars out running at a time, and we're just going to watch the end of Yasin's lap now. And he goes P11 with that one. Next we have Ayub El Hanouni driving for Born to Race. We are going to see just one other Born to Race car in this qualifying session, and that should be straight after this. It'll be twin cam. But here is Ayub. Let's give him his moment of glory. Across the line, he finishes P7 with a 2:21.83 as promised. We're going to watch Katal Crawkin, otherwise known as Twin Cam, with his bright green wheels every single race. Easy to spot him, especially with his bright blue Born to Race livery. No issues through the Boothy chicane. And then just a quick run up to the final corner and the chicane then for him. Let's see where he manages to finish. Again, a bit squirrely, as we've seen several cars having a bit of trouble actually out of the final hairpin. He also touches one of the one of the bollards for good measure. And you'll notice the drivers will go all the way over the white line here. They hug the wall. This is generally acceptable, as it is just the tighter line through, and the concrete there is perfectly fine. And Twin Cam finishes P6. Here we have a different Donny. This is not Iron Donny. He's coming up later. This is Donny, who has no team. So we will have to watch how he does. Complete unknown to me. I don't know if Donny has competed in Fox Friday before, but a solid end to the lap by the looks of it. A little bit wide of the entry into the final chicane. But let's see how he fares running the good old LFS default livery, the Netherlands default livery. Across the line he comes. That is P16 for Donny. And to keep up the mantle for the Donnies of the world, we have a second one. It's Iron Donny. Spelt differently, of course. But yeah, Donny should be looking into the top 10 for sure. It's very, very experienced hands at this point. Safe pair of hands for sure. Cross start finish he comes now. And that's P6, a nice position there. Outdoing both of the Born to Race cars. But next, it's the one, the only. It's Sidus Gabor, who is not running a Sidus livery. He's running the Lucky Strike. In fact, actually, we have RD2 at the final corner. So let's have a look at him. Again, running the LFS NL livery from yesteryear. This livery must be over 20 years old. Or pretty close to it. But it is a classic, loved by many. As RD2 comes across the start-finish line to come P7, so just behind Donny and just ahead of Twin Cam. Now we can look at Gabor, who's coming up to turn 9. He's got quite a lot of the lap to go, so we're going to enjoy a few moments of Gabor's driving. Let's get a look on board as he comes up to Spoon Corner. He's just gone through turn 9, often known as that corner in LFS, but here we go into Spoon. Hugs the inside nicely, down a gear to 5th. You don't want to keep it in 6th there because the engine tends to bog down, but now he will pop the car into 6th gear just as he enters the first oval corner that he will face. We don't count this little kink to the right as a corner normally. It is just a kink, and then it's hard on the brakes for Boothy. You want to keep the car as close to the right hand side as possible. We've got some tyre stacks on the wall there just to help you with your braking. He does actually tap the tyre on the left. It won't cause him any problems on this lap, but in the race you don't want to do that too often. Otherwise you are going to give yourself a fair bit of damage. It will all add up over the hour or so that we will be racing. And then hard on the brakes once again into the final chicane. Very conservative actually on the brakes for Gabor, but you know, maybe he's just dialed in those brakes perfectly, and that's just how it sounds and how it looks. Very, very smooth as ever. Gabor will be hoping for pole position, of course, but let's see what he actually manages. We didn't see the rest of his lap. Let's see, what will it be? It will be pole by 0.3 of a second over even TJ. So Gabor absolutely on it. And coming up to the end of the lap now is Turbo Blaster, final corner for him. And that is a fancy looking Citroen livery. Wide, and that is not the way he will want to have ended his lap at all. Not a fun end to the lap to have on camera, that's for sure. But as we run up to the final corner, Turbo Blaster is going to find his way onto the board somewhere. But we wait in anticipation about where that's going to be. It's going to be P22, a 2:27.2. That is not what he would have wanted at all. Martins is just starting an outlap. You can see he's using that wide line, so we will turn our attention to McElroy. Plain black livery for him today. And let's see, a bit wide of the apex at the final hairpin, but does manage to get the first apex of the final chicane, which so few drivers have managed so far in this qualifying session. He comes out of the final corner, and now it's just simply a case of aiming the car as close to start-finish as possible, hugging the wall to reduce the distance that the car has to travel, and it is going to be a P8 actually for McElroy. We do have another Road Appraiser driver qualifying slightly later than his teammates, but it is Rick98 coming up to the final complex. And let's see what he can manage. The Brazilian driver, very, very fast in the Fox, just like his teammates. Let's see how close he can get to TJ. Wobble on the power there as he comes out the final hairpin. Yeah, let's see what he can manage as he comes across start-finish. So Rick98 finishes in P10, and next we've got who we got? We've got Martins now coming over the Boothy chicane, and we will have him coming up to the final hairpin in just a moment's time. Martin's driving for JVR. Here he comes then over the safety car line, I believe that was. Although we don't have safety cars, of course, in Fox Friday. But over to the left-hand side of the road he goes, as everyone else has done as well, to set time of... Or what did he do there? He did a 2 minute 21, so slap bang in the middle of the grid, P12 for Martins. And next we have Yoni Katilla going under the pseudonym of Sidus Monke. But also with a world-class Lions tag in his name, which is always very confusing. And to make things even more confusing, he's running an Alfa Romeo livery. So yeah, multi-teaming to the max for Yoni Katilla. But here we go, over the curbs nicely at the final corner, and he too will tighten the line for the home straight, which is the least straight home straight in the speed. And he goes P2, not able to quite better Gabor, 0.2 of a second shy. Next it's Kirku 87 up to turn number 9, then over the curb. You don't want to do that too much. It does unsettle the car, but luckily he's able to keep it within track limits. It's much more sketchy through there when you're following another car, so less dramatic on a qualifying lap. Kirku not able to hug the spoon corner quite as tightly as Gabor did, but still able to get around there fairly cleanly. Late apex and then hugging the apron of the oval as he goes. And then through the kink and hard on the brakes it will be for Boothy. Keep an eye out for Kirku, very experienced in the Fox. But where will he finish in this session, I wonder? Struggling to get the power down actually out of Boothy, that's a bit unusual. But the real test of getting the power down is yet to come. It's out of the final corner. There's very, very little camber to help you here. In fact, I think it might be adverse camber as you come out of here. So oftentimes you see the drivers almost half looping it. I mean, very, very deep there. Kirku definitely struggling to get the power down and get the car gripping to the apexes, and he almost runs it out into the pit lane. So a sloppy end to the lap for Kirku, but let's see where he manages to get. We've got 26 times on the board so far, and Kirku slots it in P20. So yeah, he'll be disappointed with that one. We've got João Fernando starting a lap, but it's unclear right now whether anyone else actually needs to do a lap. I think João Fernando might actually be the final car, unless anybody joins the session late. So just 28 cars, I believe, are going to be starting this one, unless we have any late joiners. But João Fernando just starting a lap. So let's take this opportunity then to run with him. He is the lucky one, and it's gone all wrong so far into turn 1. A lot of oversteer as a result of touching the grass. Well, actually more than touching. He was fully on the grass there, I think it's fair to say. And yeah, he'll be focused now on the braking for turn 4. And well, let's see what he can manage on this lap. No pressure, all eyes on João. And Yeah, so next we have a couple of kinks that we don't really give corner names. This is turn 5, it's the beginning of the sweepers. This is a really satisfying section when you get it all hooked up. Normally taken in 4th gear though, not 5th, because the car, as you can hear, just doesn't bog down. It does bog down a little bit. You want to change up a little bit later on up the hill. Quite a tight line that for Fernando. You normally want to go out a little bit wider, but anyway, I'll stop being so critical. Let's see how he manages into turn number 9. Flat it should be, yeah, absolutely no issues, staying off the curbs as not to unsettle the car. Next we've got Spoon Corner, the tight left-hander, off camber, downhill, the tyres will be screaming in pain. He's running quite wide, but does manage to keep it on the grey stuff, which is always good. A little bit more eventful with other cars around you, taking full use of the apron there to make his line through the oval as short as possible. Brings it to the 2nd lane. Yeah, that's probably about normal. A little bit tight here, but let's see what he can do into Boothy. You want to keep as close to the wall as possible. Use the last tyre there as a braking reference. Nicely done. And yeah, no issues. Back onto the power. This won't be the quickest lap we've seen, but it's going to be up there somewhere. Somewhere potentially in the top 15, I'd say. Let's see how he manages the final sector. Heavy on the brakes again. Nice apex, just need to be smooth. Roll onto the power here and find the apexes. There's 1, there's 2, and that looked pretty smooth. Let's see how he can finish the lap. He will be our final car, and then we are going to go for a short break before the start of this 1-hour Fox Friday race around KY3B in LFS. Let's see what he manages. It is P23, so quite a lot further down the order than I predicted, but there we go. Not too bad. He's on the grid. That's all that matters. And I think that is everybody. So, before we go for a very, very short break, let's take a look at the results of that qualifying session in their entirety. On pole position, it's going to be Sidus Gabor with a 2 minute 19 seconds 0.38. Then it's Yoni Katila in P2, the two sort of Sidus teammates there. Then it's TJ for Road Appraiser, 3-time Fox champion, proving he's still got what it takes to do the job. Then it's Onifus, Zesty, Rex, Roger Chen, Donny, Magrio, and RD2, your top 10. Rick98 for Road Appraiser will start P11 with Twin Cam for B2R in P12, Jay Martins in P13, then it's Lucas, Ayub El Hanouni, Al Payson, Friends United Rocket, Adal, Finn UK, and Kirku87. Then just a couple of names over on the other side of the page. It's Yassin for Air Attack, Johnny SVK backwards, João Fernando, who we just watched. Then we've got Pantheo for Fragmasters, Donny, Dr. Tallenberg, and they're in 28th position, well outside the 105, but still within the 107% mark. It's Turbo Blaster in P28, and that should be all of our runners. Now, before we went for qualifying, I mentioned that we needed to cover the championship standings, the all-important championship standings, so let's do those right away. In our Drivers' Championship, we have Fragmaster's Fatal still leading the way at the very, very top with 1,057 points. Then it's TJ in P2 with quite a deficit at this point. It is over 100 points, the gap between those two. However, Fatal does not appear to be here this afternoon, so TJ can potentially close up that gap. Then we've got Gabor, who is here as well. So again, Fatal looking like he's going to lose a little bit of his advantage as we are only just over halfway through the season. So he's not completely comfortable yet. He still has to turn up and put in those results. Roger Chen, he's here too. He's in P4 in the championship with Onifus, Zesty, Donny, Rex, Al Payson, and Happy D rounding out your top 10. And I believe we have 5 pages of the good stuff, the Drivers' Championship standings, so we'll just let those slide on by. There's Ayub in P21 and side of Sammy Lippman there in P40. Haven't seen him for a wee while, but 40 points he has collected so far this season. And yeah, if you're looking at this page and you're thinking, wow, there's a lot of drivers here, that's because there are, and you could be one of them. We have 11 spaces on the grid for today's race, so proof that you can just turn up on a Friday, and if you can set a qualifying time during one-shot quali, then you have a pretty good chance of starting the grid, especially over summer when Need for Speed, as well as many other simulators out there, do tend to be a little bit quieter due to the warmer weather. And there are 90 drivers have scored at least 1 point in the championship so far. So let's turn our attention back to the first page. It's Fatal, who isn't here, who is going to be caught if the others finish by TJ, Gabor, Roger Chen, Onifus, Zesty, Donny, Rex, Payson, and I think the only driver in the top 10 there, the only drivers who aren't here from the top 10 are Happy D and Fatal. So those two likely to drop down the order after today's race. In the teams championship, it's a slightly different story. We've got a bit of a different picture here. We've got the graphics have disappeared from my screen. There they are. Fragmaster are well in the lead. We have a void between them and Road Appraiser, but there are significantly more Road Appraiser drivers here than Fragmaster today. Or am I mistaken? No, they're an even amount. They've just disappeared from my list. So we have 4 Fragmasters drivers in the server at the moment, but only the top 2 score from each team. That is why there are multiple Fragmasters teams on your team's championship board there. So it's Fragmasters, the number 1 team, are currently leading with Road Appraiser in P2. Then it's Sidus, Master Race Car, FM2, Iron, Good Drivers, FM3, World Class Lives, and FM4. I won't read them all out because we are almost going to be getting ready to go green, and I need to save my voice a little bit. So there we go. That's the top 20, and there are just a few more teams. Actually, quite a few more teams on the other pages. So 40 teams there. Proof that again there are a lot of different drivers and teams entering this fantastic series, which has had such a long and brilliant history, and you could be part of it too. So buckle up and get ready. We're going to be going racing for 1 hour at Kyoto 3B. Don't go anywhere. Here we go then for the start of round 32. The drivers are on the grid, and what a grid it is. We do actually have 30 cars who seem to have attended. And Michael Málek, let's hand the mic to you. Take it away for the start. We've got Gabor and Joni Katila on the front row.
Let's see how it goes. We have 2 lights, 3 red lights are on, and we go green in Kyoto 3 with Boothy chicane. And let's see who gets the better start. And it's Joni Katila right behind Gabor, who got better start and seems to be keeping the upper position, goes through the inside, and still stays ahead. But Monkey, aka Joni Katila, is now side by side trying to get the lead away from Gabor. Still side by side, goes very wide. Let's see how they go on brakes. And he backs out of it, so Gabor maintains the lead for the remaining corner. He goes very wide, but it goes all right for him. So far, we haven't seen any significant problems, even at the back, no crashes or anything like that. As we're watching my friend Zesty from Master Race Car in P5, he's up 1 place, as I believe he qualified in 6th spot, and is now chasing TJ and is followed by Roger Chen. Now we are going under the bridge and into the quick right-hander when you just have to get it right, as 2 cars ahead of him, TJ and Onifus, went side by side. Luckily, they didn't crash, but someone behind them did.
Yeah, it's Rex, and he's rejoined
good
right
drivers,
in the way.
Rex, who
and he's
crashed.
we've got massive incidents in the background.
This is crazy.
Yeah, this is crazy indeed. I'm not sure quite what caused that, but Rex was well out of the way but it looks like someone else has either gone off or there was a huge lag incident there. But either way, lots and lots of cars being thrown out. Looks like we have a 16-lap race, which may indicate we are going to have 2 races this evening. Apologies for not clarifying that ahead of time. We will, of course, do that as the race goes on, but it does appear as though we might have two races today with a reversed top 15. So we will get confirmation of that. But it looks like we've got 2 16-lap races, possibly our mistake for not being clear on that at the beginning. But anyway, we are racing, and for the first time this season, we've got 2 races to look forward to. So one 16-lap race followed by another 16-lap race, and a bit of an explosive start, I think it has to be said, Michael, to this one, as Gabor completes lap number 1. It's Yannick Attila coming across the line in P2, but then side by side between now TJ, Zesty, and Roger Chen. These 3 all going for it, and it's super tight into turn 1. Roger there on the outside. That's Donny, who's on his 6 now. So it was in fact Roger, TJ, and Donny, not Zesty. Zesty was slightly further up the road, but there we go. They're still side by side. Donny trying to find a way back past around the outside into turn 4, but Roger is not going to let it happen easily. He's still there on the inside. But yeah, Donny has the better run. More grip there, managing to keep it well past. So yeah, lots and lots of changes. We've lost 5 drivers already from this one due to some contacts around the turn 9 section on the first lap. Unfortunate. But yeah, it all happened way too quickly as we've got Adal in the background, in the wall at the first sector. Needs to be careful with this rejoin. And he does so. He turns the car around nice and easily there. And yep, no such problems for him. Yeah, Michael, what else have we got going on? We've got cars trying to follow each other through turn 9 pretty closely. RD2 there, trying to make a move around the outside on Lucas, and does so quite easily. Lucas running quite wide there. And that's job done for RD2. Similarly, Tallenberg trying to recover. João Fernando also having quite a good start. He qualified down in P23 and now makes his way up to P16. So some improvements there. Lucas then has picked it back up and is making a move around the outside of RD2. And as we're coming to Boothy, he is just ahead, but he's going to run slightly wide. No, manages to get it slowed down. And RD2, well, if he's close enough, might think about a move, but someone who is thinking of a move is Twincam. Twincam is tucked up right behind Rick 98 for road appraiser. And, well, doesn't go for the move into the hairpin, but might fancy it on the outside through the chicane. But yeah, not enough grip there. Sorry. He'll have the toe though as they head down start finish. So Rick 98 is going to have to do some pretty impressive defending here. That's as good as he can do. He has to move to the outside. We've got a fight on for P4 here. This is TJ trying to go around the outside on Zesty, and he's managed it. In fact, I think it was the other way around. I think Zesty was trying to... No, it was TJ trying to get through, and he has done so. Will there be another opportunity into T4? Well, it looks like Zesty wants to have a look anyway. He's on the inside, and he's in the favourable place. It is possible, of course, for a driver to hold it around the outside, and TJ is going to do just that. Zesty gets all crossed up over the curbs, and TJ gets P4 locked up for himself.
And as we keep going, Rick 98 is now following Roger Chen, who had a very eventful start. And as I speak, Rick 98 is followed by Twincam, who wants to get his position badly. Let's see how it goes. There seems to be a big gap ahead of the Rick 98. I'm not sure if he made some mistake, but he definitely seems to be leading the train of cars. As he followed by Twincam, Lucas, RD2, his Alpizon, FinUK, and so on. Going through the spoon curve, no mistakes so far. The gaps are fairly stable. Let's see if there's any opportunity for a tow. They seem to be pretty spread out, so I don't see anyone gaining any advantage in terms of aerodynamics. Road to Presa And as we switch to Master Race Car Stella Hamburg, who's battling for P15 with Jan Fernando. They go side by side into the Boothy chicane. As I hear in my ear that Iron Donny has spun in the Boothy chicane and is now losing time at positions as we speak. He's now in P12, just about to lose position to Alpazon. They go side by side in the final turns. Still side by side, giving each other's room, and there he goes, he's falling in behind and goes into the pit lane for what I believe is a mandatory pit stop. Everyone has to do one here. He cuts over the grass, goes into the slow section area. You have to keep under 80 kilometers per hour. Slots in the pit stall, and let's see where he returns. As Twincam is battling for P7 with Rick 98. They are getting away very safely and into the braking zone in turn 4.
Yeah, something we didn't mention, of course, now that we are aware that this is a 2-race event. All the drivers have to make a mandatory pit stop. No work. I don't believe they have to do any work. There's no time limit, so just stop and go. As Twincam, they're getting very sideways. But yeah, the pit stop is a feature of the longer races. The drivers always have to do a pit stop to refuel. But today we're going for the sprint race format, as McElroy there is having a battle with Lucas and getting through. Lucas and Donny there. So Donny has rejoined in P20 after his stop with Lucas. I want to say that Lucas has also stopped because Donny, with that mistake, has now dropped down behind him. So yeah, Lucas has stopped. Everyone behind McElroy actually has also stopped. So McElroy is the first of the drivers who have already made their mandatory pit stop in race 1. So yeah, reiterating, there are two races tonight, both 16 laps. And the second race will be a reversed grid start of the top 15. So that's going to be absolute fireworks. Can't wait for that. But here we go. Gabor leads the way. He is currently only a second ahead of his teammate, Yoni Katila, going under the pseudonym of Monker. Representing 3 teams on the broadcast here, as you can see. We have an Alfa Romeo livery, a World Class Lions tag, and a Sizes tag. So, yeah, pick one. As we look back now to Twincam, who is still pretty close on the road with Rick 98, and a couple of other drivers who are joining the party, RD2 and Twincam's teammate Ayoub El Hanouni, who is using the pseudonym of Ayoub Maroc here, as he so often does. But anyway, Donny is having a battle with Lucas. He's not happy after his spin and wants to make up as many places as possible, but he is already into traffic. That's Johnny SVK, who we saw in qualifying running that almost world-class Lions-inspired livery. He pulls into the pit lane. He doesn't want to get involved in the Donny Lucas battle and takes his mandatory pit stop. But here comes Lucas on the inside then, using all the apron to his advantage. Donny electing to stick within track limits, but it's generally accepted that you can use the apron there because, well, it is just clean concrete. As those two both get past Al Payson. But let's head further forwards because Rick 98 and Twincam are pretty close together again. It looks like Rick 98's made that move on the Born to Race driver, and RD2 is also pretty close up the gearbox of that Formula Renault 2.0 inspired Formula XR. And will it be a move into turn 9? Are we going to see our first brave move into turn 9? Is RD2 going to be that guy to make the move into that corner? Well, he's thinking about it, but no, tucks back in. We'll have to wait for someone else to have a go. Pretty sure a number of drivers will have made that attempt on lap 1, much to their surprise that there's no grip or downforce and ended up in the wall, which may explain the flying cars that we saw at the beginning. Lucas is making quick work of the pack here. He's already on to the other Donny in this race, the Donny that's spelt like Donny Osmond, if you're old enough to remember who he is. But there we go, through to Spoon Corner they go, and Lucas has made another huge gap. It looks like Al Payson will also get a move on Donny, only just making contact there. The other Donny, oh, this is so confusing. 2 Donnys side by side. Iron Donny then touching wheels with his namesake, and these two are going to be pretty close together. Rick 98's had an incident. He's dropped way back down the order now. He's had an incident at the Boothy chicane, but we need to watch our Donny fight here now because Donny runs wide, and that allows Al pacing through as well. Twin Cam is tucked under the rear wing of RD2. Here we go, across start finish, pulls out to the outside, the unfavourable line on the straight, but he's got so much overspeed that he's going to have the inside easily for turn 1. That is a clean move made, and that deal will be sealed. RD2 gets back in the slipstream, and that is not what you want through turn 1. Gets in the dirty air, slides well off the track, and he's going to have to find somewhere else to close up and overtake, because he's lost so much time there and risks falling into the arms of Ayub. Ayub, of course, very, very talented in the Fox and will snap this up if he's able.
Yeah, Ayub is very hungry for RD2's position as we watch Iron Donny now leading Opazon and Pablo forward. He's chasing Lucas in P14. There's a significant gap in between them, just about 1 second now, so he has some catching to do before he can make the pass. As we are in the twisty section, now fast right-hander followed by quick left-hander, then another fast right-hander and under the bridge, which is my favorite section at this track. There he goes, and into turn 9, which you just need to get right. If you turn in too soon or too late, you just messed up and go into the gravel. But as we watch Iron Donny going through, he gets it perfectly and seems to be catching to the car in front, which, as I said, is Lucas from Road to Preza in P14, who's trying to break away, but Iron Donny having a great pace, goes through the spoon turn very smoothly and into the oval section of this awesome track and into the Boothy chicane, which is another heavy braking zone, which is not present at the original Live for Speed circuit. This is a somewhat community-made chicane, but I prefer this version as it adds another braking opportunity and as well the overtaking opportunity.
Yeah, so many leagues and series and races that we see often opt for the Boothy variant of Kyoto Grand Prix Long. So much so that the Boothy chicane will become the norm. It's going to be integrated into the next release of Kyoto. It has been fully integrated and will appear as an actual corner on the new version of Kyoto when that is released. And so, yeah, Boothy's legacy will be immortalized, making the game safer. Boothy. Anyway, there we go. We're still watching Donny as he comes through the first couple of corners, now on the long run up to turn 4. And let's turn our attention to the next closest fight. It's this one. It's the Born to Race versus RD2 fight. And if you're familiar with the Born to Race drivers, you'll know that they don't like having other cars near them. They only like to drive with one another. So they will pretty much want to dispatch RD2 as soon as possible. So yeah, no pressure to Ayub, but he needs to try and get through. In fact, it looks like Twin Cam is going to yield to RD2. He got out of the way very easily there, Michael. I don't think he wanted to race with RD2 at all.
Yeah, or maybe he's trying to give room to Ayub, who's just having a perfect tow now. His friend from Boudoir just moved away and leaves him with overspeed on the straight, so Ayub can catch the RD2 and make the final pass. And
okay, not what I expected to see at all. I'm pretty sure that will have come as a surprise to the viewers as well. Yeah, I have no explanation for that.
I initially thought it was a luck, but it seemed intentional. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
So yeah, something's probably gone wrong, hardware issue or otherwise. Maybe he couldn't get all the power down or something. We will see. João Fernando has binned the car at the chicane exit. We've got tyres rolling everywhere, presumably from that incident. But João, with a lot of right side damage to that car. So let's see. Oh, it looks like McGreo has actually also been through the tyre barrier. But João Fernando then has probably got to make his way back to pit lane. A significant amount of damage, and he's struggling to keep control of the car out of the final hairpin. He'll have to be very careful not to get in the way of other cars here, actually. There will be yellow flags out, of course, on the circuit for the other drivers, but a very slow drive into pit lane is what is needed there for Fernando, and there he goes. Another driver also in the pit lane, just emerging now, is Kirku87 for his mandatory stop. And then let's get an update then on who has already stopped in this race. Lucas is the highest placed driver who has already made a pit stop, but a number of drivers lower down still need to stop in a box. Obviously João Fernando will be doing so. Beppo, who didn't qualify but has emerged into the race, is currently in P25. He needs to stop still, and so too does Furtive Racing's Pablo, as well as obviously our entire top 10 who are still fighting for the all-important overall position. So yeah, Kirku re-emerges in P17, just behind McGreo, who had an incident a couple of moments ago at Boothy. We didn't talk about Gabor for quite a while, but he's currently enjoying a 1.4 second lead over Yoni Katila. Not sure he'll be enjoying it that much, as he's just clobbered one of the tyres. But here we go, we've got a fight on between the number 69, McGreo, and Pablo. This isn't really a fight though. McGreo has already stopped, and Pablo is yet to stop. So he is not really in a race with McGreo, but nevertheless they're going to have a fight here, and Pablo makes that a little too easy. Opens the door up and allows McGreo to slot through. So Gabor then comes over start-finish to make it halfway through race number 1. We are having two 16-lap races this evening, the second of which will be a reverse top 15. And in both races, we are going to see a mandatory pit stop by all the drivers. Twincam in the chat on Twitch confirming that it was a pedal issue, so assumedly whichever pedals that Twincam was running weren't allowing him to get the full acceleration. Sometimes that can be a software glitch, sometimes it can be a hardware glitch. Either way, it's super annoying, and I do not blame him for throwing in the towel in the race. Yeah, hardware or software failures are really, really annoying, especially when you think you have the pace. Fernando has binned the car and has immediately withdrawn himself from the race. So even after the pit stop to try and repair the car, it's not gone well for him, and he is out of race 1. He will, of course, be allowed to rejoin for race 2, but time will tell whether that will happen. In fact, I think he has left completely, but we will confirm that. He's still in the server, so he may join for race 2. Yeah, Michael, Kyoto 3, otherwise known to, well, the full name is Kyoto Ring GP Long, is an absolute classic in LFS and always delivers. But there is no simple car to drive around here quickly in a race with other cars, is there?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You just need to be absolutely spot on in every turn, especially turn 9, which you get slightly wrong, you go into the gravel and the wall, which is where Magriolo in P15 is now heading, as he's following Finn UK in P14. They are both going into this, for me, a famous turn where I messed up many times, but they both get it right this time, and into the spoon curve, about 1 second away from each other, so it's not gonna be close enough for Mogrillo to get tow from the car ahead, but if he's better on brakes, he might get some advantage after the Boothy chicane, which we will come in about 15 seconds from now. Pentio in 21 is not having the best race of his life, but who's doing very well is TJ in P4, who up until this point had the fastest lap, but is now stolen away by Gabor. And as I say that, TJ steals back the fastest lap and continues to chase Onifus in P3.
Very interesting that the fastest lap is being traded very, very tightly between Gabor and TJ, but shouldn't be that surprising. They're both extremely, extremely fast. Yeah, anybody who is anybody. In fact, I don't think there is a single person who plays LFS on the regular that hasn't lost the car at turn 9 at Kyoto 3. If you haven't lost the car at turn 9, then you aren't trying hard enough, basically, and there is pace to find. Everyone loses it there occasionally. Hopefully it happens to you in practice and not in the race. But yeah, if it happens to you in the race, then fair play to you. You were pushing pretty hard, but just went over the limit. We've got a fight on between the two Ks. It's Johnny SVK and Kirku. And it's Johnny SVK in that Bumblebee livery trying to get past Kirku. He's going to go for the inside into turn 1. It's not quite enough alongside. Spooks Kirku a little bit. Kirku leaves in the room, but he can't get through. That is going to hand time to one of the Donnies behind. It's not quite a gap that can come down very quickly, but it is nevertheless handing time back to him. Yeah, Donny is a new name for me, but currently circulating in P18. It looks as though I don't think he's going to get lapped. I don't think anybody's going to get lapped in this race. Not because of incidents anyway. I think Pantheo and Beppo are the only cars that have been lapped, probably because they came into some trouble earlier on. But if you're on pace and you don't make any issues, then I'm guessing you're fine. This track is pretty long, and it would be something special to be lapped on normal pace. Speaking of normal pace, Joni Katila is dropping back maybe a 10th lap. Not a lot, but enough to make Gabor feel potentially comfortable at this stage of the race. Let's see what the gap is as Joni comes over start finish. In fact, Joni takes the fastest lap of the race and takes the gap down to 1.61, but TJ steals it away again. So TJ is quickest of anybody at the moment. Gabor slightly improves on TJ's previous lap, and then TJ improves again. That is what has happened for the last 2 laps in a row, as the 2Ks are going side by side again, and this time Johnny SVK manages to get through, and Kirku, a bit of a lag there. Thought he looped the car. The car behind is a lapped car. I believe it's Beppo, otherwise known as Beppo Sachs. Kirku going quite aggressively into the almost into the rear end of Johnny SVK there, but Beppo must be pretty frustrated. Wants to get through. McElroy on the outside of Finn UK into turn 1. Let's see if he can get the move done. That turns into the inside, and that is in fact job done. McElroy, no problems there, and already has opened up the gap such that Finn UK will not be able to do anything to retaliate.
Absolutely. Gabor is now having 1.6 seconds lead over Sidus Monkey, aka Johnny Katila, who's been followed by Czech Onifus from Fragmaster, who's been followed then by so far the fastest one lap guy on the track, DJ, who keeps the fastest lap at this point but is 4 seconds behind Gabor. And P5 is by my master race car friend Zesty, who I really hope to win today, but he's so far not having the pace I wish he had. He brakes really late. Somebody has gone through the tires in the Boothy chicane, which helped him to smooth the run through.
At least you're honest about your master race car bias. Normally I try to put on my my unbiased hat when I commentate, but Michael Málek throws the rulebook out the window. Zesty, come on, let's do this. Well, I admire that, Michael, honestly. Supporting your teammates to the end, you know.
I have to support my teammates, and
Yeah,
because it's my birthday today, I think I can have a wish of somebody from my team winning it, but so far it's not happening.
Well, I feel terrible for not knowing that it was your birthday. Happy birthday. You shouldn't keep it quiet.
Thanks, mate.
But there you go. Yeah, you're allowed that one then. You can have your birthday wish is for Zesty to win, and I hope your wish comes true. But at the moment, he is 7 seconds on our leader, and needs to find something fairly special if he's going to turn that into a win. Roger Chen, he's got for company. as we have McElroy having somewhat of a proper issue into the final sector. That is the end of McElroy's race, although for some reason he has been allowed to reset the car. Now, I feel as though that is because someone has forgotten to turn car reset off. That would not normally fly, but I feel a little bit bad for McElroy because we've just caught that on camera. He could have done that on the sly, potentially. But whether he was allowed to do that or whether that's just happened is another thing. But it looks like that was probably not supposed to happen. But anyway, McElroy continues to race. So too does Donny. And who's that? That is... No, that's not Lucas. That is Rick 98. Lucas driving the orange. Rick 98 driving the blue and white. And Donny trying his best to get back that P11. Will it be into turn 9? Brave if it is. Oh yes, we're going to see it, Michael. We're going to see it. There's going to be a move into turn 9. Beautiful. That then hands the dirty air to Rick 98. But so experienced are they both that they make it through unchanged. I love a turn 9 move. Absolute bravery. The move was done before the corner, but still, I love it.
Yeah, his line was compromised anyway, so really good job by keeping it in between the white lines. As now they are battling for P11 and Olpayson in P13 is just watching from far behind. He's way too far back to get any tow. As Rick seems to be getting ahead. No, he doesn't. He slots behind Donny into the chicane. They touched a little, went onto the gravel, but both make it somewhat safely through. But now Rick is having a small gap in front of him. So Iron Donny is safe for some small while, but let's see if Rick is able to catch him up. As Iron Donny is sliding his car through the final chicane, but the gap seems to be somewhat stable, and Rick is too far to get a tow onto the start-finish straight. As we are getting into the lap 13 of this first race out of 2 of the Fragmaster Fox Friday.
Yeah, I mean the 2-lap format took me a little bit off guard, but I'm massively looking forward to it now because a reverse top 15 is always entertaining. Fox Friday traditionally, if this is your first time watching, uses a long race format, so we just go for one race, which is just over an hour normally, but it always uses more than one tank of fuel, so the drivers have to factor in their fuel strategy. Now, today, of course, we're in the sprint race format, so the drivers will have just fueled up for 16 laps, and that will be it. They still have to make a trip through the pit lane, but we do lose some of the strategic element of the driving. But it's not all bad, because in race 2 we get that reversed top 15, which is an absolute spanner in the works. You get the faster guys starting mid-pack, and they have to battle their way through to the front, and there is literally no other racing format in the speed that provides so much drama in the second half of an event, guaranteed. So yeah, stick around for just a few laps longer, and we will be thrown straight into that reverse grid 16 lapper. But yeah, the top of this race, Michael, is becoming a little bit closer because TJ is almost within slipstream range of Onifus. Now, he has been closer, but he hit the tyres a couple of times. But now he's looking like he might have the slipstream again this lap. And in fact, Onifus goes into the pit lane. So let's see if TJ can make good on his outlap. Onifus taking all of the advantages through the chicane onto the entrance to the pit lane, using all the grass. Oh, stops very late in the pit box, just about registers. There is a pretty generous threshold for the pit stop. Onifus has refueled, so a tiny amount, so that could affect the fight between him and TJ. We'll see when TJ decides to come into the pits, and whether Onifus comes out in traffic, comes out behind Abe, but won't be really close enough to really call that traffic, unless Abe is somewhat further off the pace than Onifus. But we will see. TJ has to come into the pit lane at some point in the next 2 laps. The end of lap 15 is his final opportunity to come in. You're not allowed to pit on the final lap. That was outlawed when Michael Schumacher did it at Silverstone, of course. No pitting on the final lap. That is the rule in motorsport these days. Okay, Alpacin there, getting his way. Go for it. Go for it, Michael.
Onif was very clever about not giving tow to TJ, so it was very sensible to jump into the pit lane and do his stuff, which secured him from giving any advantage to the car behind. Let's see where TJ gets out when he does his mandatory pit stop. As we know, Onifus did some refueling, so that's a few tenths spent in the pit box more, but he should be able to get it back on the track, so they might actually get side by side as TJ leaves the pits in this or the very next lap.
So let's see then if TJ decides to go into the pit lane on this lap then. He has two opportunities to do it. Does he want to cover Onifus? No, he's confident enough that he's going to stay out. He doesn't think he's going to catch Yoni and end up in a fight with him. So he's going to stay out and see what happens. Let's see if he gets the fastest lap back. Gabor currently has it. Gabor's in the pit lane, actually. I didn't see that, but no, TJ does not get back that fastest lap on this round. But Gabor is in the pit lane and just coming out now. Now, the fight between him and Yoni was pretty close, but Gabor has timed this such that he comes out in no traffic whatsoever. So unless he made a poor pit stop or loses it on this final two-lap dash, the lead and the win will be his. Yoni Katila needs to hope that he too has a close pit stop. Other cars coming through the pit lane now. RD2 just leaving the pits then. He's going to be in a direct fight with Lucas, although Lucas appears to have done the better of him and has opened up a 1 or 2 second gap there. But yeah, Gabor overall lead, net when everyone else comes in, and he's got the fastest lap as well. So Yoni Katila, TJ, Zesty and Roger Chen all have to go into the pit stop this lap, as do Ayub and Doctor, the only other drivers yet to make a pit stop. Beppo Sachs also has to come in as well. Even though he joined late, he still has to make that mandatory pit stop on this lap. It's been a quiet race at the front for a little bit. In fact, Beppo Sachs now in the pit lane. There he is to serve that stop. Let's see what Yoni's got left in the tank. Let's follow his pit stop and see if Gabor has just absolutely nailed the strategy on this race. Final corner coming up for Yoni before he has to peel into the pit lane. Kyoto Grand Prix Long is probably one of the only tracks where you can make up more time in the pit lane and lose more time in the pit lane than at any other because of what's about to happen here. There is a very odd chicane which only has grass on the inside and outside. So as you can see, Yoni taking liberties, goes sideways on the grass into the pit lane. Apparently, according to Chris in my ear, TJ took even more liberties than we witnessed from Yoni there. But where is Gabor? How safe did Gabor play it? Doesn't look like he played it that safe because he is going to be ahead of Yoni easily. Yeah, Gabor must have absolutely sent it into pit lane because he is even further ahead of Yoni than he was before. So I think what we've done there is we've watched a fairly tame pit lane entry for Yoni Katila. TJ re-emerges in P3. It will be Onifus in P4 then, and Zesty retakes P5. Ayub comes out just behind Lucas, so Lucas has made good his strategy, and actually Ayub comes out between Lucas and RD2. So a solid top 10 for Ayub for now, but RD2 could be in slipstream range by the end of this lap. Someone who's certainly in slipstream range, or will be, is Doctor, who is currently in P12 and would sorely like to get ahead of Donny. Not sure whether he knows where Donny is in the championship, but I know that Donny would be rather annoyed if he got overtaken on the final lap, as would anybody. But look at that. The gap between Gabor and Yoni has gone up absolutely, well, by an enormous amount. We've got Donny off in the grass on the final lap, the other Donny, and that is going to be a beach unless he can wiggle it free. He's absolutely cooked his rear tyres. That's unfortunate for the final lap. Should be able to get it free, but again, it's not what you want on the last lap when you're fighting for the final few positions in the race. Anyway, he should be able to wiggle himself free. But we, Michael and I, need to turn our focus to Gabor as he comes through the final sector. The last time we watched him do this and didn't look at anyone else was during qualifying. He tags yet again the tyre bale. I almost think he does it on purpose, just to throw something at Yoni, just to cause him a little bit more headache. I'm sure that's not what happens, but somewhere in my mind I feel as though it might be semi-deliberate. He has that much time, that much capacity to be tactical with his driving. But anyway, around the final corner comes the Sidus driver. Gabor has driven a flawless race once again and pulled out probably a second and a half, or just about in his pit stop, to emerge victorious. Across start finish he comes to win race 1 here, closely followed by Yoni Katila, 3 seconds behind, and it was actually pretty close for him between Yoni and TJ in the end. TJ not quite able to get P2, did make the jump on Onifus in the pit stop. There was a 2.5 second gap nearly between TJ and Onifus, so a big old gap there. It's Lucas next to come across the line in P7. Then Ayub very, very close with RD2. RD2 just unfortunately not managing to get through Ayub on the home straight. Al Payson for Fragmasters will be the final finisher in the top 10. And now the most important stat that we wait for is who finishes this race in P15, because that constitutes pole in race 2. Oh yes, we're going to have a second race here. We're going to have 2 16-lap races. Apologies for communicating that it was going to be a single 1-hour race at the top of the show. We are going for 2 laps here, and it's McGregor. He didn't have the cleanest of races. He was through the tyres heavily at the Boothy chicane on the one of the opening laps, but he is lucked out. He is going to start race number 2 from that all-important pole position, which he will be very happy with, I'm sure. Someone who will be in a bittersweet position at the moment, Michael, Gabor. He's just won, but now he has to start in P15.
Yeah, starting from P15 will be a great challenge, but Gabor is... If there's anyone who can manage it, it's Gabor, who's just flawless in Fox Fridays recently, and I believe that he will win anyway, even if he starts from the middle grade, 15 positions down. Let's see how it goes for him in a few minutes from now.
Yeah, while we were discussing that, very, very close finish between Pantheo and Tallenberg. Tallenberg just managed to squeak it over the line ahead, I think. But anyway, fun to see that there were fights going on till the very, very end. And I believe that is everybody. Everyone has completed the 7.4 kilometre huge Grand Prix long circuit with the addition of the Boothy chicane. We are going to be going for another race here in just a few moments' time. 2 16-lap races on the cards around this track. The fantastic Kyoto 3 track, 7.4 kilometers, 4.6 miles. But before we do that, let's go through the final results of race number 1. It was Gabor in 37 minutes, 0.41, ahead of Yoni Katila, TJ, Onifus Zesti, Roger Chen, Lucas, Ayub El Hanouni, RD2, and Al Payson. Then in P11, it's Iron Donny, the first of our Donnies this evening, ahead of Road Appraisers Doctor and Rick, 98. Then we have Finn UK for Fragmasters, McGregor, our pole sitter for race 2. I cannot wait for the feature race today. Johnny SVK P16, Kirku 87, Tallenberg Pantheo, the other Donny in P20. And then on the second page, we will have a few DNFs. I say a few, that's quite a lot of DNFs. In P21, it's Beppo, who joined late, who finishes in the final car to finish the race. And then, unfortunately, our DNFs, Furtive Racing's Pablo, not quite sure what happened to him. He finishes in P22, finished 8 laps down. Then it's Adal João Fernando, who had an issue at Boothy, and then a further issue after pitting for damage repair. Turbo Blaster, Twin Cam had that technical issue with his pedals, unfortunately. Hopefully, we'll be able to rejoin for race 2. Takomo Nemoto, not sure who that is, don't remember seeing that driver on the grid. Must have been a lap 1 incident for sure for the rest of these drivers. Rex, unfortunately, DNF'd on the opening lap. So too did Martins, Friends United Rocket, Yasin, and Nothing. Gabor there registered at the bottom of the screen with the fastest lap in the end. It was a tough competition between him and TJ, but a 2-minute 19.26 is the time to beat in race 2 for the fastest lap honours of tonight's event. Absolutely awesome first race. Plenty to talk about, plenty of action, plenty of great overtaking, especially into turn 9. Iron Donny getting a super move made there, which was probably my standout. I always love a move into turn 9. It takes something else to get that done. But yeah, a few minutes I think before we get to the grid for race number 2, and that gives us a little bit of time to talk about the series as a whole. Fragmaster's Fox Friday has been the longest running series in Live for Speed that we are aware of. Has enjoyed a long history and continues strongly into 2023 with big grids, and you can join it too. All you have to do is turn up to the Fragmaster's Fox Friday server on a Friday. Don't turn up on a Thursday because there won't be anyone to race. Turn up on a Friday at around about 7 o'clock UTC, and you'll be able to compete in one-shot quali. That means you get one timed lap to set your best lap possible on the combination. And if you're inside the top 40, well, then you get to enjoy our company in the commentary box as we commentate on you for up to an hour of racing. Today, of course, we're going for two 16-lap races, the second of which will have a reversed top 15. As I mentioned just a moment ago, it's going to be McElroy who takes those honours. And let's work out what the grid is going to be then, Michael. We're going to have McElroy and Finn UK sharing the front row. It will be Rick 98 and Doctor on row 2, although it appears as though Rick 98 is no longer here. So it's going to be Doctor and Donny who are side by side with each other. Al Payson will be alongside RD2, then Abe and Lucas, Roger Chen and Zesty, Onifus and TJ, and then Gabor and Yoni Katilla will share. Sorry, Yoni and Gabor will share row number 7, which will be very, very entertaining, I'm sure. Behind them, it will be Johnny SVK and Kirku, Tannenberg and Pantheo, and Donny and the following drivers. I'm wondering just how many seconds we have left to go. It can't be too long. Normally there is a 5-minute gap between races in Fox Friday. So we should have drivers readying up in the background any second now. In fact, yeah, we are gridding up for the start of race number 2. Let's go. Apologies if you haven't heard the sultry voice, the sultry tones of Michael Málek recently. That is because Michael is experiencing, unfortunately, some technical technical difficulties, should we say, as we head off for the start of race number 2, and it is McElroy who gets a pretty nice start there, and all the other drivers pretty much immediately fall into single file and then immediately out of single file as we approach turn number 1, and it's Doctor who is going for has the first bit of action with Finn UK. He's going for the move there. Finn UK just able to defend it. We've got Roger Chen and Abe side by side in the background, actually 3 wide there. Lucas trying to feed it up the inside of both of them, but it doesn't work out quite for him. And McElroy is yards ahead into turn 4. Doctor diving to the inside on Finn UK and finally makes the move. Finn UK down to P3, having now to defend from his teammate, but it's RD2 up the inside of Al Payson, and he's going to get mugged from behind. Roger Chen has got a better line over sector 1 there, and Roger moves up to P5, says thank you very much to RD2, and RD2 he's going to look in his mirrors and he's going to realise he's already back into a fight with Ayub, and Lucas has joined them. Will anyone go for a move into turn 9? Yes, they do. It's the 2 Fragmasters teammates side by side, and they just make it through, but Lucas has gone out. He's into the barrier. No, keeps it out of the wall just. And thank goodness in race 2 we are clean through turn number 9. There were 2 ferocious incidents on the first race, but luckily race 2 we only have 1 car going wide. So luckily we are clean. We've got too much action going on here. We've got almost a 4 wide going on. We're currently watching Onifus and TJ, but we need to be looking further up because we've got RD2 and AU bump drafting one another side by side with Zesty and Yoni Katilla. And who is going to sort themselves out into Boothy? People slamming on the brakes left and right, 2 by 2 by 2. And it is going to be Gabor with an absolutely monster run up the inside of, who's that? TJ and Onifus. And yeah, Gabor makes up 2 places very easily there. He's now behind TJ, he's behind RD2. That's Zesty on the inside in the grey Master Race Car livery. That Gabor now somehow finds himself up behind. Absolutely outrageous moves going on there. Onifus runs wide, and already some of the cars making their way into the pit lane, including, surprisingly, Gabor and AU. Didn't quite expect that one. But anyway, Gabor's going to pick an early pit stop. I'm staggered that he's decided to come in that early, but I guess he's trying to cut his losses. He started quite far down, so electing to go into the pit lane early. Finn UK, well, he's had a first lap and a half. He's dropped from P2 to P4 now, and still fighting with his teammate Al Payson. And behind is Zesty, who will be watching this battle with intensity because, well, he will probably want to overtake one, if not both of these cars pretty soon. Al does slip ahead of Finn UK, and we're right on board with Zesty as he moves to the inside on Finn UK. But Finn, wanting to hold on, slips into the slipstream of Al, and who's that trying to go around the outside? It's TJ, who immediately swamps Zesty. There's someone else also tucked in there. That's Yoni Katilla in the Alfa Romeo livery, who gets past Zesty as well. So after wanting to get past the Fragmaster's cars, Zesty finds himself being overtaken by not 1 but 2 cars, but everyone going single file through turn 9, running ever so more wide the further down the order you go because of how close they were following each other in the slipstream. But anyway, Yoni and Zesty go side by side. Yoni Katilla then trying everything to get back past Zesty, but opportunistic driving there from Zesty. He wants to keep his name in the game, and now I guess the advantage hands itself to RD2. Yoni gets back through, but who is going to be in the lead when they come out of Boothy? Will Zesty go for the move? No, he elects to stay behind, and that is that. It's Johnny XVK versus Adal, and Adal has kept that place for now. There's no rest for me here. We've got TJ immediately back in a fight with who's that? Finn UK, and he is through. Although Finn keeps a nose on the inside, forces TJ to rethink his line a little bit, but he is through. Takes one of the bollards out for good measure, and Yoni immediately slides into pit lane, as does Zesty following him. Zesty has got a much better pit entry, and we have a race almost as we go into pit lane. Amazing stuff. Yoni has a very nicely judged stop, and Zesty, well, it looks like Zesty has to take evasive action. Didn't want to move to the right because Yoni was there, but has to avoid RD2, and somehow after all of that manages to emerge ahead of Yoni. Fair play. There goes Gabor. So those two have lost a bunch of time to even Gabor. Gabor is up to P12. There he is. Still those two going side by side through turn 1, and Yoni has managed to get back ahead of Zesty. These two are going to be fighting forever.
Yeah, they're going side by side now, battling for P14. Zesty now ahead, now on the outside, and seems to still hang around outside, but will have to stop behind Yoni. Tries to go for the inside, but backs off. As we are now going into the fast assist of the second sector, which we enter right now, as Zesty has to defend from who is that? It's Onifus in P16, who's hungry for his position. We are now about to get into the bridge section and then the infamous turn 9. where you often go very wide, just as me. They are going side by side. They stay on the inside. I don't think they did touch, but they got away safely. And now it's RD2 trying to get advantage on the stay as well, cleanly through the spoon curve. And let's see who will be able to get the toe. Seems like the stay is too far away from the car ahead. So the only opportunity now seems to be RD2's toe on him. Let's see if he can make the overtake. As we switch to the TJ, who just got into the P4 overtaking Alpazon and is now just one step away from the provisional podium spot. Alpazon is now in P5 and is followed by his Fragmaster teammate Finn UK, as we are all entering lap 4, I believe. Just about to start the lap 4, as it's Mugrelo still leading, and Doctor is now in direct fight with Roger Chen. They are going side by side. Roger Chen on the inside in the Mercedes livery, slots ahead, and he should be far enough ahead to not give a doubt to the car behind. And as we see, Doctor now in P3 is not able to catch up into the next braking zone. So it's now Mugrelo still leading, Roger Chen in P2, Doctor and his teammate from Rude Preza, TJ in P4, followed by the Fragmaster duo Alpazon and Finn UK. Then it's Idal, another Fragmaster member Panteo, it's Bipo, and top 10 is close by Kirku 87.
Thanks for that, Michael. I could just about get my breath back. It does appear as though the grid has been split directly down the middle here, because as you can tell from the timing tower graphics there, the top 10 have yet to stop, but everyone after that has already made their pit stop, and they're being led around by none other than our race winner from race 1, Gabor, who finds himself in traffic and will now make the running order not so clean anymore as he gets past Kirku, and puts a gap between him and Ayub El Hanouni. But there we go. So yeah, Gabor making good progress through the grid, having started down in P15. Magrio, however, he started on pole position and remains in pole position. He had a very clean getaway, and that is also important. If you find yourself in P15 in race 1 in one of these reverse grid races, then you have to make good your first lap. You have to pull out all the advantage while the other cars behind fall over each other, and that's just what Magrio has done. He finds himself firmly in P1 by 3.1 seconds to a formidably fast driver, Roger Chen, who we will keep an eye on to the end of this lap to work out whether he is going to be closing that gap down or not. Currently running P4 in the championship is Roger Chen, and will sorely like a few more points to add to that total today. Let's see where he ends up in this one. TJ currently holding the fastest lap, but will that change as we head round to start-finish? What will change is the gap between Roger and Magrio. It's gone down by a whole 100th of a second, so basically nothing. So fair play to Magrio. He is holding him. He's holding him honest. TJ sets yet another fastest lap, so his eyes are focused squarely on the back of the drivers ahead of him. He will, of course, have in his mind the fact that Gabor has already done his pit stop and has also just stolen back the fastest lap of the race. Because I'm sure that TJ would sorely like to get more than a third place tonight, as we have contact between Adal and Pantheo, side-by-side contact down to turn number 4. Pantheo is leading then, and gives away a bit of space actually there to Adal, but has the move wrapped up nonetheless. So only a few laps remaining then of our action this evening. We are almost at the end of lap number 5 in race 2. The action at the beginning of this race was, as we predicted, pretty frantic, but on the whole, very, very clean. I can't believe I'm saying it, but race 1 was less clean than race 2, which is never normally the case. But I guess it comes down to the fact that the drivers have just had more race practice and they've warmed up a little bit. So very impressive driving from everybody at the start of race 2. But now we have some tactical games. I'm looking at the timing tower, and I'm noticing that Gabor's gap to our leader Magrio is coming down by a staggering amount every single time Gabor goes over a sector line. It's now 19.9 seconds, and which is probably good enough. Even if all the leaders pitted now, he'd probably come out in the lead. You lose way more than 20 seconds down the pit lane here, I think. So we will have to wait and see. But Gabor is heading very, very close to a second win here. Another 0.3 of a second going his way. We've had a crash at the chicane. It's Beppo and I believe Pantheo involved, I think. Although Pantheo's car looks pretty okay. He was involved in the incident. So unfortunate that we missed it, but nevertheless, Beppo has retired, so it must have been pretty bad. We have Doctor then fighting his teammate TJ on the run down to turn number 1. Doctor not going to make that particularly difficult. TJ heads through into P3 as we have Adal then in a fight with Gabor. This probably won't last that long. Gabor will be through and gone. We've got RD2 getting past Johnny SVK and a bunch of others. No, Johnny SVK is not in the pit lane. He is on the track. My mistake. He's trying to get past Friends United Rocket, moves to the inside. This should be pretty textbook. Yes, it is. Later on the brakes, turn in, and that position for now is secured. So another place for Johnny SVK. Lead update, Magrio has lost half a second to Gabor in the last lap, and that is not going to be nice reading for him, as he is still yet to make a pit stop. Gabor has pitted and has passed everybody, and only has 5 cars yet to pass in this race, and that was a bit of a slide from Magrio there. You don't want to be sliding the car through Spoon because you lose an absolute ton of time, which is not what you want at all.
You are absolutely right, but he seems to have a stable gap against the second place Roger Chen, so he definitely seems to have a good pace despite making mistakes here and there, but they all have just not enough talent tonight to fight Gabor, who's catching them massively. He's now less than 19 seconds away from the leader Mugrilo, and after they all pit, it will be easy Gabor in the lead of the race. I believe Mugrilo and everyone else will pit towards the end of the race, possibly the very last lap, so we have some laps to watch everyone battling for positions, as we watch Pantheo in P20, who's not having the best race. Mugrilo, to my surprise, goes into the pit lane now, has already fallen into 4th place. Let's see how he stops. He stops perfectly.
Gabor is going to be so far out ahead, it's unbelievable. Magrio is moving and he is only at the end of pit lane, but I think Gabor is going to streak past, or is he? He should catch him by turn 1, but actually it's a lot closer than I gave Magrio credit. Is there going to be a fight into turn 1? Yes, there is. Gabor does not manage to get through Magrio by pitting early, but let's see. How quickly will it take? How quick will it be before Gabor can have a go at getting past Magrio? Fair play to Magrio, timing that to perfection. Gabor moves to the inside now and will get the place. So Magrio, having led every single lap of the race so far, has to yield to Gabor for lap 7. That is impressive. Well, fair play to him. That was as close as pretty much anyone can hope to be to Gabor after a pit stop. But that does show you how close the margins are. Gabor starting in P15 and has just overtaken the car that was in the lead moments ago. So from that, we can probably conclude that if Gabor keeps going the way he's going and doesn't make any more mistakes, he will have a victory in race 2. And we're calling that quite early on lap 6. Lap 6 just completed, so fair play to him. He's on an absolute another level to everybody else. That then means we have to keep an eye on where Roger Chen ends up, and also TJ. TJ has got past Doctor a few laps ago. We saw that on camera. That gap's opened up quite a bit, but now TJ will want to get past Roger Chen because he will now have seen that Gabor has emerged ahead of the race leader and is therefore not in any more traffic. So any advantage that TJ hoped to gain from Gabor pitting early has gone away. It's entirely possible that TJ and Roger Chen could work together here to try and to close up. But if I know these two, I know that they're probably more likely to fight each other than work with each other. So we will see. At the moment, they're not fighting at all because Roger is able to keep enough of a distance ahead of TJ to stop him from getting through in the slipstream. But for how long? We will see. Al Payson has now pitted and has been passed by Magrio, Gabor, Ayub, Yoni and Adal. And how many other places is he going to lose? Just one to his teammate. Onifus gets through. Will Zesty get through? Zesty goes for a big send. That was a little bit cheeky, a little bit late. Zesty goes off. RD2 also gets through on Al Payson. So too does Lucas. And I think Zesty is the one that's probably responsible, as we've now got 3 wide. Zesty's not only, he's lost 2 places. Net, he only lost 1 place, but that could have been so much better for Zesty if he'd just been a little bit more patient into turn 1. But Lucas takes out, or rather Lucas and RD2 find themselves off the track. They locked wheels and they couldn't turn in. And Zesty is a lucky boy. Because he has ended up in the lead of that fight. Let's keep an eye on TJ because it's getting pretty close between him and Roger Chen as we head onto the oval. Don't forget that Roger Chen is your race leader presently. TJ 3 tenths behind and is ever so slightly in the slipstream, but I think Roger has had a good enough exit from Spoon Curve to keep the lead for now. It's mighty close, but you can only imagine that TJ is losing time behind Roger at this stage of the race. Roger will of course be concerned with what he's looking at in the rearview mirror and might be losing focus on the fact that he needs to just gun it as hard as he can because Gabor is free and clear of Magrio now by some 9/10 of a second, and TJ again getting very close to the gearbox of Roger Chen there and losing even more time because of it. Is he in the slipstream? He might only just be in the slipstream. Yeah, he is in the slipstream, but is it enough to get past into turn 1? Roger will hope not, but TJ will certainly be hoping to get past. I'm actually almost surprised he didn't come into the pits to stop fighting, but there we go. It's not enough. There's another lap that TJ is going to have to fight with Roger. Not what either of them want, really, if they're looking for the overall win. But at this stage, maybe they just want to have a bit of fun with each other. Let's see. Okay, down to turn 4 they go. One after the other. And, well, nothing going on there. So both of those guys losing time. That may allow Doctor to start to creep closer. He's kind of enjoying his own time here, his own space, but I don't think he's lapping fast enough to get anywhere close to those two. They're still lapping pretty quickly. But here's the story then. You don't have to look very far. In fact, just the same camera can pick up Gabor. That's how close he is now to the top guys. Only 19.5 seconds separating Gabor. Sorry, that's Yoni. Gabor is 15 seconds from our race leader, which you don't have to be a maths professor to know is enough to easily claim the lead when those guys pit. Magrio is safely in P2 because of how much the leaders are squabbling, which means that Yoni will also comfortably be ahead of Roger and TJ, and if Roger and TJ keep fighting, Ayub will also find himself cleanly ahead of Roger, which means Roger and TJ risk coming out of the pits in P5 and 6, which I'm going to speak for them. Neither of them want. So TJ has everything to do. He has to get past Roger this lap if he wants any chance of finishing in P5. Otherwise, it's looking like he will finish in P6. A huge lock-up into turn 1 there to try and not run into the back of Roger. And he should have the draft this time. Finally, he will be able to have an attempt at getting past. There's no guarantee, of course, that he will. Roger goes defensive on the inside for turn 1, but I don't think it's enough. I think TJ will have enough of a run. Roger is now cleanly behind. And no, he can't make a counter-offensive. So finally, TJ is released to try and salvage something from this race.
Yeah, TJ has finally made the pass over Roger Chen, but the damage is already done as Gabor is now only 15 seconds behind. And as we have seen, it takes about 19 seconds to make the mandatory pit stop, so Gabor should be several seconds ahead when TJ and Roger Chen make their pit stop. They have still 6 laps left to do so, and as far as I can tell, TJ, Roger Chen and Doctor are the top 3 that have yet to make the pit stop. From Gabor downwards, most of the guys probably did already their mandatory stops, so we will see where these 3 will fall down once they get to it, as we watch Gabor now being 15.3 seconds behind the leading TJ, ever so slightly catching up to them, now getting into the light braking zone into turn 9, gets it perfectly and into the spoon curve before entering the oval section. He takes a lot of curb, but it doesn't seem to give him any disadvantage. Hugs perfectly the inside curb of the spoon curve and into the oval section in the opposite direction that they will normally do at oval. We now switch to TJ, who's leading 7 tenths ahead of Roger Chen. They both make the Boothy chicane cleanly and safely. So does Doctor in P3, who's 5.5 seconds behind his teammate. And another 10 seconds down is Gabor, who should be safely ahead after these 3 make the mandatory stop.
Yeah, let's get an update on the stop situation. The top 3 plus Adal are the only drivers that need to stop, so that pretty much correlates with what we thought was the case. Adal will find himself dropping down even further dropping even further down the order, because all of the drivers around him have already made their stop, so a little bit unfortunate. In fact, yeah, it looks like he's already in the pit lane. No, he's not in the pit lane. He has stopped facing the wrong direction at the hairpin. No problem. A quick 180 to get the car pointed in the right direction, and he is back on his way. And now decides to take his pit stop to cut his losses on this lap. Smart decision there. We've got Lucas versus Al Payson. That's Lucas cutting into the lead. We've also got Yoni Gitilla catching up with Magrio at a rate of knots. Those 2 have been pretty evenly separated for quite a while in this race, but this is currently the podium. Of course, we need to see where TJ, Roger Chen and Doctor will slot in, but we think it's going to be somewhere behind these guys because of just the gaps at the moment. Looks like Abe is dropping back from our leaders, which is a little bit surprising. So I think that TJ and Roger Chen will come out behind Yoni.
Yes, so far TJ is leading now, is having 1.7 seconds advantage over Roger Chen. Onifus is getting ever so closer on Alpayson as they go through turn 9. There's a lot of dirty air for Onifus, but he keeps in behind very well. Will he make the attempt? No, he doesn't. They hug the inside line of the spoon curve, and now Onifus should be in the perfect position to make the draft and overtake the teammate before the braking area. But as I speak, it seems that RD2 is actually having advantage over Onifus. But
yeah, he's lifting.
Yeah, he's slotting behind. He doesn't want to overtake these 2, as he probably thinks that he brakes very late and almost takes out Onifus, but somehow he managed to make it safely and lost the time himself. So there were no positions gained or lost this time. And so far it's Alpazon in P10, Onifos in P11, and RD2 in P12. And as these three are fighting, MRC Hamburg in P13 is slowly catching up.
Yeah, we're into the dying stages of this race. 5 laps to go, including this one, as these guys come across start finish to make it 5 to go for them. And I can't help but feeling that Onifus really did hurt himself there as he went into Spoon Curve. He was much too close to Alpayson, got in the dirty air, ran wide, and almost came up against RD2 in the braking zone. So Onifus needs to be more intelligent than that. He needs to leave more room into Spoon Curve if he wants to go for a move on the oval. He's got another opportunity here on his teammate, but it really is important to consider a few corners ahead what your move is going to be at KY3. It doesn't really matter though. Onifus gets through at turn 4, and now it's Alpayson's job to defend from RD2. Onifus moves up inside the top 10. Al will be furious about that, I'm sure. Loves the top 10, does he? And well, let's try and not make it any worse. He needs to keep RD2 behind him now for the remaining few laps. Judging by the state of RD2's driving into Boothy chicane, it might not be as difficult. It might not be too difficult. It just depends how well RD2 can focus on the task in hand. Yoni is finally within touching distance of McGrew. It's been happening for a few laps, not quite yet in the slipstream range, but not too far away. Let's see if he can get close into the final hairpin and then do the move on the home straight. Seems like the next logical place for it to happen. Let's ride on board through Boothy. Let's see how close. Oh, McGrew hits the tyre square. Luckily we caught that angle, because now Yoni will be thinking, all right, let's get a good braking into the hairpin, not do anything silly through the chicane, and get this P5 all wrapped up before the pit stops happen. So let's see. McGrew is going to be a sitting duck, really. And does he realise? No, he doesn't. He doesn't pin into the pits. And that will be that. In fact, does he even need to pit? Let's check our graphic here. No, both of these cars have stopped. There are only 3 cars on the track yet to stop, and that's our current podium, TJ, Roger and Doctor, as Negrio finds out what it's like to have Yoni Katilla in the same race as you. It's a tough challenge, and Negrio will lose P3 overall as a result of that move. Sorry, P2 overall as a result of that move, and drop down to P3 on aggregate.
Yeah. Mogro, after leading the first half of the second race, is now in P6, but he's 18.5 seconds behind TJ, who's leading, so we might expect that once TJ makes the mandatory pit stop, along with the two other guys behind him, they might actually come out of the pit lane right next to Magrillo. But speaking of car coming out next to each other, it's RD2 battling out for P11 with Alpayson. Alpayson now on the inside and now stood back. And it's P11 for RD2 at this point, but I'm sure that Alpayson will now fight hard back, and let's see if he makes an attempt on the short straight before the turn 9. He doesn't seem to be close enough to make that. He's definitely in the slipstream, but he is being hurt by the dirty air, but stays in between the white lines. And now let's see if he can make any advantage in the Spoon Curve and subsequent oval section. He's quite far now, at this point, so he will be able to catch up before the braking zone goes somewhat wide. So now RD2 is safely in P11, and we have about 3 laps left, as TJ still keeps it on the track, so does Roger Chen, and so does Doctor. So these 3 are still going into the final 3 laps without their mandatory pit stop. Gabor so far in P4 is now 15.3 seconds behind TJ. I'm watching this gap for a few laps, and it seems to be fairly stable, so I think if TJ wasn't held up by Roger Chen before, they might be very close, but at this point, I think TJ will fall back behind Gabor after the round of his pit stop. But so far, it's Gabor in P4, and we have to wait for the top 3 to make their stops to get things finished.
Yeah, unfortunately, Michael, it's a little predictable. But what is not predictable is who will be our final podium? Because Magrio actually, his time is slipping away. He's lost time over the last few laps while Yoni was with him. Those two are now separated by about a second. So Yoni should be pretty much guaranteed P2 in this race now, unless he makes a mistake. But Magrio, because of his pace compared to our leader TJ, he's not certain even for a podium at the moment. I really wonder what is going to happen. So we will have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see if Magrio can keep his pace where it is. Remember that when Gabor came into the pit lane, and when he emerged from the pit lane with Magrio, they were basically on top of each other, and the gap was around about 19.5 seconds. So it's anyone's game. TJ, if he can put in a couple of quick laps here, then he should be able to snatch another third place. But it's so tight, the margins. What does he do? Does he pit now and get the fight done on track, or does he try to just press home as fast a laps as he can and just hope that Magrio isn't lapping as fast? Let's wait and see. Gabor is firmly in control of this race as it currently stands, 14.9 seconds, and TJ is going to come into the pit lane. We are going to find out what is happening between him and Magrio. Oh my goodness me, hits the wall. Huge cut. Did he manage to slow the car down in the pit lane, Michael? We'll have to wait and see, but that was a sketchy pit entry for TJ. Roger goes through, doesn't matter, because Roger still needs to pit. Doctor will also go through, doesn't matter, he's still got to pit. But the important one is Gabor. That is the pace that Gabor has had this race. Started in P15 and gets past TJ, who was leading the race just moments ago, even with that absolutely balls to the wall entry into the pits. And in fact, TJ's come ahead of Yoni, so that's a surprise. TJ's pit entry was so fast, Michael, that he's made up a second over the other drivers in the pits.
Yeah, but I'm slightly concerned that maybe it was so fast that he may have gained a drive-through penalty. I can't verify, but we will definitely see at the end of this lap before that's the only opportunity he can serve the penalty.
Yeah, we will find out soon enough. But TJ, it did look like he entered the pit lane quite a rate of knots. We don't currently have confirmation of that on our screens, but we know that the drivers will know, so we'll see what happens. So yeah, Roger Chen and Doctor have to pit this lap, and they will come out somewhere in the region of Yoni Katila. They were miles behind TJ. So it's the Yoni Katila, Ayub Magrio kind of area that we're going to be looking at. I can't believe how much time TJ made up in that stop. That was absolutely outrageous. But anyway, it looks like Pantheo and Nadal are also having a fight on track. Yes, they are. Over start-finish we go. And Pantheo will want to get another place for sure. This will be P18 if he can keep it. Looks like they're having a pretty intense scrap, weaving all over the road to try and keep the position. Nadal goes for an inside move. Pantheo leaves half a gap, but in the end it doesn't need to be there because he is free and clear. Right, Michael, Roger has to pit this lap. Doctor has to pit this lap. Where are they going to come out? It's currently Gabor in the net lead of the race ahead of TJ, which is a surprise. But where will Roger come out? He's not tapped the wall like TJ did. It's a much calmer entry into the pit lane. And he just has to find a pit box. Doctor's had another exuberant entry into the pit lane. And this time, we find out what happens when you just take too many liberties. He's absolutely binned it. That is going to be a disaster. He was on for a really good finish, and he's absolutely thrown it in the bin. Already down to P7. He's lost that place to Magrio. He could have had that place, but it's all gone sideways. Doctor might even lose a place to his teammate. In fact, he might. It's there's no might to it. He's lost the place to his teammate. He's lost the place to Onifus. He's going to lose a place to Zesty, and also a place to ID2. That's a disaster. Doctor is going to be absolutely furious with himself, but that's what happens. In fact, Alpayton's going to make it another one. So P11. There we go.
Yeah, that was
done.
That was a complete disaster, but he made fault of his own, and it's always the risk to cut the chicane like that, and it came back at him, so he can only blame himself. TJ didn't serve any drive-through penalties, so he apparently seemed to have slowed down enough before the start of the slow zone area, and is now safely in P3, our final podium spot, chasing the Sidus Monkey, aka Johnny Catilla, as Roger Chen in P4 is now being chased by Ayub Merok and Mugrillo, my apologies. As we are in the final lap, as this is the closest fight for the position at the top we can see at this point. They seem to be very spread at this point, but I think Ayub might have some tow. Let's see if he does. Mugrillo is definitely a bit too far back, so he will probably finish in P6. As Ayub is catching up, but it doesn't seem to be enough, and he's still behind Roger Chen into the Boothy chicane. There's only one major braking zone, as Ayub makes mistake and is now side by side with Mugrillo, so instead of catching Roger Chen, he's now battling with Mugrillo, but we are now jumping to Geber, who, after starting from P15, pitting early, now is about to cross the line and win yet another Fragmaster Fox Friday race. He crosses the line now and wins in spectacular way. It's Yoni Catella finishing in P2, TJ in P3, and let's see who will come in fourth. There's a large gap to cars behind, but it's Mugrillo who it was Roger Chen in third place, Mugrillo fourth, Ayub Marok fifth, then Lucas, Onifus RD2, P9 is Doctor, and in P10 it will be MRC Talhamberg, who somehow managed to pass Zesty in the final laps of this race. Then it's P13 Alpayton from Fragmaster, followed by his teammate Finn UK in P14. P15 goes to Johnny SVK reversed, or whatever he keep calling him, and it seems that there are still some cars coming, so these results are not final. Let's see who is this, and it's P16 for Kirke 87 and P17 for the Friends United Rocket.
Yeah, I think we're still potentially waiting for a couple of drivers, but another stunning drive there from Gabor. Absolutely dominated in the end, but it wasn't all plain sailing. He had to work his way through the pack, obviously, starting in P15. Had to keep it clean in the opening laps. After he did his pit stop, emerged just, actually, when McElroy made his pit stop, emerged just in front, but managed to get through on the same lap, around 7 laps in. Drove to the end cleanly ahead of everyone else. It was close at the end between World Class Lions Sidus Monke and TJ, who didn't finish by the looks of it.
It seems like DJ did actually.
Oh, he did finish, but down in drive-through.
Yeah, he did inherit the drive-through, but didn't serve it, or did he?
Don't think so by the looks of it. He finishes down in P12, so he got some sort of penalty for that, so we'll have to work that out in post-race. But anyway, let's go through the final results. Another 37-minute race for Gabor, this time 37 minutes 46 seconds. Then it's Yoni Catilla and Roger Chen who does manage to get that podium. McGregor, after leading for so long, did not manage to get a podium on this occasion, but a very nice result with P4. And then it's Ayub, Lucas, Onifus, RD2, Doctor and Tallenberg, the top 10. Then in P11, it's Zesty and TJ after a 30-second penalty confirmed there. So he didn't serve his drive-through, and that got upgraded to a 30-second penalty. That explains why he's down in P12. So, yeah, just unfortunately taking too many liberties into the pit lane, like so many others did that race. Doctor also punished a little bit for a spicy pit entry. He finishes in P9. After that, we have Payson finishing in P13, Finn UK, Payson's teammate, in P14, Johnny SVK, Kirku, Rocket, Pantheo, Adal, and Donny finishes in P20. Just a few drivers on the other side of the page. In fact, just one driver, 21 starters and only 20 finishers. We have Beppo, who DNF'd after just, finishes 12 laps down. So DNF'd after just 4 laps and completed 25% of the race. The fastest lap of the afternoon, or rather the evening, goes to Yoni Katila. And that is a very impressive time of a 2:19.0, which makes it quicker than Gabor's attempt in race 1. And there we have it. That is round 32 of Fragmaster's Fox Friday in Live for Speed. An absolutely epic occasion, I'm sure you will agree, Michael. And I can't wait to get back to the action in a few weeks' time. Which I hope we can flash up the graphic for that. Here is the schedule for the next few races. We have 4 rounds to go then before the end of the season. Tonight was round 32 at Kyoto Ring GP Long Boothy, and in just 4 short weeks' time, we're going to be returning to the action with a combo which is yet to be decided. It will be decided the week before, almost certainly. And we will let you know what that is just as soon as we can. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us tonight for all of the action here at Fragmaster's Fox Friday. We hope you enjoyed it. We got a surprise double race there, Michael.
Yeah, it was a great evening full of fantastic racing. The first race was very chaotic. The second was extremely tense until the final lap. So it was just absolutely spectacular, and I am pleased to be here and keep commentating with you these fantastic races that we see every week on Fragmaster Fox Friday.
Well, thank you very much for joining me, Michael. It's been an absolute pleasure. Unfortunately, I know you had some technical difficulties with your internet, and that's a shame. But yeah, anyway, we hope that you can sort that out for next time. But anyway, thanks for your company. Thanks also to Chris. He had to dive away a little bit early, feeling a little bit under the weather, so we wish him well. But yes, from all of us here at Sim Broadcasts, all of you, thank you very much for watching. Congratulations to, of course, our race winner tonight, Gabor, in both races. And we will hope to see you next time. Thanks a lot to Fragmaster for having us along for these events. We really, really enjoyed putting them together for you, and we hope you enjoyed it. And we will see you at the next one. From all of us here to all of you, have a great night, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Good night.